What's going on, everyone? Vampyr Gaming here, and if you watch my latest live stream, I participated in Min Hootie's 1 anniversary event playing Red Portgas D Ace from OP03. And a lot of you all had asked, I kind of talked about the deck briefly throughout, but if you were curious, you know, I really like Red Ace. These are kind of my thoughts post the event, because the list overall held up pretty well. I only really lost to like really good high roll. The deck overall, I think blue purple Luffy's like the biggest issue, and that's really like them seeing Linlins and being able to chain those. Us having a relatively consistent answer to 8 Katakuri. If we can't answer 8 Katakuri, it kind of snowballs from there just because of how much value that card provides. And then of course Linlin being able to heal. The essence of this deck is race.deck in the instance that you're going to just nonstop go face at your opponent and try to beat them and just complete full face aggro. And so it's just really fun to kind of build and just imagine. Overall, the deck's really interesting and very fun. But it is, like, so, like, in a world where our opponents are playing a lot of bricks, decks are very greedy, I think this deck has a lot to offer, especially in lower life leaders, because of cards like Flame Emperor, so you can put them at 0, and then we have instances that just smack them with unblockable swings. And I think even this card shouldn't even be at 5, maybe, at this point, or at 4. I think maybe just up here, yeah. I think this is actually just better. Play 4 of this, 3 of this, because we upped the Roger count, and I think 3-2 is fine. I really like this card, but I really like this one, and we have plenty of 5 curve overall already, so. But, yes, leader, you essentially can turn events into combo power, which is super unique, and you can also turn them into 1K, so they're never really bricks. But when everybody's swinging 6K, it doesn't matter as much. But the combo power allows your opponent to not really be able to math if you have lethal. Because they don't know. You could dump 3 events, and now you suddenly have 3 Dawn that they could have never known. And you could have no events. But the ability to pitch those events kind of go up in power is huge. I did play a different list than what is here, but I think this is overall just slightly better. And likely something close to this is what I'll play for Friday on Gen Con. Gen Con, of course, is this weekend. I am playing all the onlines. Friday is like the day where a lot of people have to work and they aren't going to take PTO to play in an event on Friday, especially if they're off Saturday and Sunday. So I thought if any time, like, it's just going to have the biggest filter of overall competition to make it sound poor, but I figured if Ace ever had a chance to top, it would be then. And so I'm really optimistic there, and I think because like we haven't really had any events, and at the same time the finals in Paris is happening as well, so we will see the results there. But really wanted to just spice it up. I think I'm gonna play green purple the other 2 days just for the memes and for the sake of it. If it works out, it does. Maybe I'll mix in a Shanks. I'm super focused on OP12, but we are, of course, still in OP11 for another month. And so just wanted to kind of put this out, talking about the basis of this list. Of course, again, you know, Ace events are counter power, but they also can buff your power, which is incredibly underrated. You usually will save your Ace swing for last just because they can't predict what that'll be, and then it's your like final push. But sometimes I'll just be greedy swing and then, like, you know, pitch an event, go 6, and you can kind of do that on like a 6 leader if you're going to swing unblockable at them just to see how they react. And then if they, of course, block, maybe you don't even need, you know, like if they have 1 blocker and then you could just like do a big rusher, it's like, okay, well, now you don't even have to play that. So we'll talk about this list. So for Otama's still best red card. And then we have Makino. Makino is like an interesting choice because you could play Sanji here. You could play Sanji. I think there's every reason to do that. But you can just use Makino to buff up an Otama, which can come up, and you could chain these all on an Otama and just go incredibly hard there. But this could easily be 2-cost Sanji. I think 2-cost Sanji is also fine. I usually find myself, like with the Roger, I'm usually just taking every hit, so I don't necessarily need 2-cost Sanji, and sometimes, like, just a Machina play weirdly comes up, especially, like, you can even do it with a Chopper, and then you do 2 and you have a 7, so you did a 7k swing for 2 Dawn. So it has some relevance, but I think it's the worst card overall in the list. If you want to play Sanji, I think that's fine too. If you play a Searcher, this card I think you keep, but if you're not playing a Searcher, it can nichely come up, and there wasn't any 2k that really... Oh, you know what? This video is so scuffed. This was what I had tried during the weekend, during the event. This was what I had tried, was this Frankie as a 4 of. But it never came up. It never came up. So, but like, cause like this Frankie situationally is good if you have more than 2 characters on board. If you've established more than 2 threats and then you play this and they activate an event, you get more Dawn than you spent. You get more Dawn than you spent. Now, of course, if they don't play removal, and you're playing against, like, maybe, like, green, purple, and blue, purple both play a card that can answer this, with that being, of course, Zoro. I remember now. I tried this, so again, you could play Makino, you could play Sanji, or you could play this. I played this in the event. It was the last edition, and it's okay. But I wasn't ever having 3 bodies on board. I was sticking, like, 1 to 2 on a good day. So, do with that what you will. Then Chopper Blocker is the best card. You want to set this up early if you can. If your opponent doesn't have removal or it's very costly for them to remove this, that's great. Like if they have to spend a bunch of Dawn and make a suboptimal play, phenomenal. But you also play this in late game. But this kind of allows you to set up a Roger. Like if I have 1 life in one of these and I'm going to 10 Dawn, I'll play a Roger. And then if I want to go to 0, I can. And they usually can't pressure me enough, and then I can, like, turn on my Roger whenever. But it kind of lets you safely play out Roger on 10, and you can continue to establish other threats and keep yourself healthy. Because Roger's the most expensive threat we will establish due to the fact that we can't use the Dawn. So establishing a Chopper, filling him in on a curve. Again, watch out for the Zoro. They can rest the Zoro, but again, if it's, like, later game and they rest this for 4 Dawn, cool. It's really 2 Dawn because they're going to get 2 back. Potentially 1 Dawn if they have Sanji Pudding. So do with that what you will. But overall, pretty good. We played 3 Monet. I was playing 4. I wanted a little bit bigger bodies because if I missed my ace curve and I just didn't find ace, I was just playing 5 costs. And my 5 costs were getting just absolutely wrecked by being tucked into life or this or that. And we don't have a 5/7. So there is the argument, I guess, if you really want to play the Yamato, but I opted for Dragon. But I cut one of these Monet down just to kind of make a little bit more room. Monet creates a unique opportunity because you can spit this out early. Again, if they don't play removal or it's very expensive, it can give you a lot more aggro on an important turn. So you're going unblockable Luffy. Unblockable Luffy becomes 13, or Roger suddenly becomes 15, which is a lot more than 13. So now they need 2 Gum Gum Giants, whereas 2, like, plus something, whereas just 2 Gum Gum Giants gets you out of 13. 2 Gum Gum Giants, you still have to draw 2k and counter when it comes time. So that 15 can really matter. I actually won a game. I went 12 using Fiery Doll and a Flame Emperor, and then going 16 here because I saved a Monet. So Monet over 2 turns, like if you use Monet across 2 turns, can actually give you so much value in the lethal, especially when your opponent plays a bunch of bricks. So I actually really like it because it's like cash advancing your Dawn for a future turn. You can also on a critical turn, like playing Flame Emperor, and you could potentially, you know, KO a Katakuri, use this, give it 2 more, buff that power to 10, and that could be like what brings you across the finish line. So lot of real opportunities here. We effectively kind of play like Whitebeard. We take every hit and just like giant hand unless they play Pudding. So against blue, you have to be kind of careful, but you essentially bring a bunch of cards, so then you have a bunch of counter. If you need this to survive another turn for that extra push once again, you can usually do that. We play 12 2Ks. The other one being Lime Juice. Again, we're just playing race deck, so we're just racing them to beat them and just aggro them. So Lime Juice stops blocks, so you can pay this, swing hard, or you could potentially play out 2 of these and swing with a bigger body. Because a lot of leaders play overall like relatively cheap blockers. You have Green Purple playing a bunch of chump blockers, and then Otama and Lime Juice can take out most blockers as well. And then, of course, depending if they turn off your abilities or not, Marshall D. Teach plays chump blockers, so these can be relevant there. But again, we do have these like rushers with unblockable. So, but yeah, this was I just felt was the best help you get attacks through. And then three cost Sanji, best card. You replace it, so if you play it, swing, then you go 6, 6, 6 potentially. If you go 3 into 5 and you play this, and you swing 6, 6, 6, it feels phenomenal. Great feeling overall. Great card. And again, we talked about Frankie. You just every body you have, it's plus 2k. You play this out against purple if you have 3 or more bodies sticking, and it goes the distance. Otherwise, it's just a 2k. You can play Sanji. You can play Makino. Monkey D. Luffy. This card's unblockable. I love the combo of this into this because it applies so much pressure. You can put a leader down to 0, and then we have a ton of unblockable swings because you can play this Luffy. The great part about the Luffy is it's flexible. You can leave one Dawn up, but you can also command a ton of cards. Then they either have to win or answer this card. And they have to give you cards, then they answer this card, and you follow it up with another one, can just be the GG. Or if you can save it, then you go 16, they lose. So it creates a lot of really good opportunities. In combination with this one, you can hit them with a double attack. And then we have Portgas the Ace. This is the best rusher overall, bar for bar. Just because he's sticky, he can't be tucked in by Linlin, but sometimes it's worth considering allowing him to be, depending on the situation. So always consider that, because like if you go up a life and then they don't have any big swings, you can just be like heal 1 versus this being minus, and they just swing at it and get it for free. So if they're like doing potentially like a 6 swing at life, you've got a 2k, it's better than swinging at this commanding 2 cards. Really depends if you need that body or versus you need that life, but incredibly versatile card overall. And this Luffy, I wish we could play more of this Luffy, but I really like Unblockable Luffy. If you don't like Unblockable Luffy, I think you can play 4 of this, because you getting to go 6/6 is incredibly powerful in the 6k leader meta. But again, I'm very favored towards Unblockable Luffy and just chaining those once you get them to 0. We essentially, like, the goal is to hit them in the face as hard as possible. You get them to 0, and then you hit them with the unblockables. We play 5 unblockables, and we play 4 cards that stop blockers. So a lot of different things. And Flame Emperor KOs a blocker. So there are a lot of ways to kind of just get in there and really put on that heat. And again, like, Green Purple can potentially 3-card blocker up. Then you just hit them with an unblockable Luffy. And unblockable Luffy can force them to be stuck with the chopper, so you leave them with a chopper. I think that was kind of a misplay I did in one game. I just overvalued their chopper, and I don't remember if that was the one I lost, because the one I lost, I kind of lost by miles. But there was a moment where I was like, okay, well, I could leave it on there, turn off their ability, and they don't get that extra, like, 3 Dawn during their turn. But yeah, really like this Luffy. This Ace, again, I had it at 3, just upped it to 4, because yeah, you just need to hitting this on 7 is incredible. And then, of course, like, you can hit this on 8, so a little bit more flexibility on the 8 curve. And the 9 curve, you essentially want to be playing Dragon, but this is still very good. Especially because, like, you can play cleanup if needed. You can take off pressure off of you. You also null 2 Katakuri blockers when you play this. So even if they have 2, you play this, they both become 5. So they have to give you those bodies if they need to block versus it becoming a free block, which is what we love. And then you have Monkey D. Dragon. So Dragon was a new addition because I just like, sometimes when you Flame Emperor, you need a bigger body to carry you across the finish line. And that 7k stat line isn't always what you need. 9 goes a long way. It's a little bit under Newgate. Newgate used to be like the card you would use, but this on 9, of course, or on 9 allows you to go 8-9, which allows you to put a lot more pressure on than potentially going Flame Emperor into this, just putting a lot of pressure on them. And so I think Dragon's a good addition. And we go Gold D. Roger. Upped Gold D. Roger just because, again, you can relatively easily play him on 10 if you see one of these blockers and he gets the stick. You can play this on 10, and then afterwards they have to consider, they can only put you at 0 if they're not going to lose, or if, you know, like they're going for lethal. So they either have to attempt lethal, or it de-incentivizes attacking at you and heavily incentivizes going after like your board, which is stronger, and you can just give it up, or you can keep it depending on if you need to go for game. And again, Sanji can help you turn that on, but you have to like establish the Sanji beforehand. So Bad Manners Kit Course, 2 of, it's a 1K or a 3K, so incredibly versatile. We play a decent amount of bricks, being all of our rushers, so it's a nice card to mix things up. 2 Radical Beam. 2 Radical Beam is kind of just here for the memes at this point. Like, it helps you not lose, and it's at least a consistency piece. But again, we're trying to hit their face a bunch, live 1 turn, then just go out, turn everything sideways at them again. We take a lot of life so that way we can protect the bodies when they decide to swing into those, because we need those. And so then, like, because we want to get as many bodies on board and just hit them as hard as possible. Fiery Doll. Fiery Doll is a 2 of. It has the ability to trigger in life and essentially become like a Beji or Red Hawk. So you can stop an attack, keep you alive for a turn potentially, and then also that plus 4,000, so you can combine it with this. You can go boom, 8. That's how I got to 12. Then Monet, give 2 of those rested Dawn, attach the extra Dawn, go like 12, 16. It allows you to do a lot more lethal. You know, Gum Gum Giant out of this vibes. It was at 3. I cut it down a little bit. And then again, I cut this one down. It was at 4. We don't play a Searcher, so 4 felt really good. There were a lot of instances where I didn't see it. Seeing this to answer Sanji pudding is so good, because you can keep, like, when they run away with Green Purple's biggest issues is when they run away with Sanji puddings. Like, their biggest downfall is being bricked up, and that's our best asset there. And we just hit them for, you know, their 4 life. They usually take the first 2 anyways, so you just hit them for a giant Flame Emperor, and then you start spamming unblockable at them because they don't have a way to heal, and it goes a very long way. But they do, of course, have that Gum Gum Giant. And yeah, that is the deck list. Let me know what you all think in the comments below. And thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.